Hello, welcome to Tile Coach. Today I have Marcus Burnett with Burnett Tile. He's a local tile installer. I'm stoked to have him on. Welcome, Marcus. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Honored to be here.
Yeah, so you had a Schluter Kerdi Line failure. I've heard of several of them. So what happened?
It was probably November 2022. A customer called and complained about water spots on his ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, it was in the garage, so the shower was over the garage.
Okay.
But yeah, he had questions. Obviously he had water coming down, and when I got the call, I was pretty nervous because I was like, well, I've never had a shower fail.
Mm-hmm.
Not like that. We've had little leaks or something where it ends up being a shower door, or something small like that, but not like a big shower. Or he spent upwards of $30,000 with us to remodel, or not remodel, but tile his whole bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And it was probably, I got over there pretty quick. I told him to stop using the shower.
Mm-hmm. When was it? Do you remember when you installed it?
We installed in February of 2022.
Okay.
So it was probably 8-9 months after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
And and then let's see.
So February, and then the end of 2022. So not that long ago, probably like 6 months ago. This is what you were dealing with. Yeah. Well, so this isn't the first time I've heard of it. Actually, the first time I heard of this happening, and it kind of blew me away, because we install these line drains all the time.
Right.
My viewers, they know that is the line drain that I use.
Right.
I've tried several different ones. The very first line drain I did in 2007 failed. It was a quick drain, but similar manufacturing process. I mean, it was a stainless steel channel body
mm-hmm.
with some kind of adhesive that laminated the fleece on there. And so, but that was in 2007, and then I started using the Kerdi ones. I've seen the laticrete ones. I've seen the Comptite ones, and I've never been comfortable with just using a sealant to bond that fleece to the channel body. I'm like, man, I've seen that fail tons of times. So, but the first time I heard of a Schluter one failing was somebody I saw on Instagram, and I'll actually bring that thread up. This is from Elite Tile. He's down in Santa Barbara, but he sent me this text on Instagram, and this was the first time that I heard of a Kerdi line drain failing.
Right. And
so he did this one back in 2014, and he got the callback. This was June of 21. So this is the first time I had ever heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
But this was a failure from 2014. Here's the video that he had sent me.
So we got into this drain a little bit. Pop some of these tiles out. And the glue they used is completely.
Yep, that's exactly.
Exactly what. Yep, this is what's been happening on everybody's. And so he sent me that. He said that Schluter had paid for the repairs, and so that was. I thought that was like a one-off thing.
Right.
I'd heard of that, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe that was just one bad one. And then I had someone reach out from Utah, and this is the picture that he sent me. This was just a customer who had saw my Schluter Schluter videos.
Right.
And he wanted me to come out and fix this one for him. He was out in Utah. He's like, hey man, I'll fly you out there. Come on out, and if you want to fix this. And I took a look at the picture, and I go, wait, you see the channel body here on the right, the stainless steel, and there's no adhesive stuck to it. And so I told him, I go, if you tear that out, there is no way to remove that fleece without, the adhesive, that red adhesive always sticks to that stainless steel. I said, it looks like it just came off. And he said, oh yeah, it just pulled right off. So I go, oh man, you're dealing with one of those failure issues. So I told him to at least contact his local Schluter territory rep, and he sent me an email back thanking me for my help and advice, and he said basically Schluter sent somebody out to fix it for him. Somebody's gonna, and Schluter's picking up the bill on it. So
And that was a customer that contacted you? That wasn't an installer?
No, he just found me on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he's not an installer. He's a homeowner.
Okay.
And so he wanted me to come out and fix it, but I told him to contact Schluter,
Right.
and they took care of it. So let's get into what happened with yours. So you saw leaking under the ceiling.
Yeah,
He
he contacted me.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things I did was open up the ceiling
Mm-hmm.
below that was in the garage.
And so you could see that there'd been water coming through under
Around
the drain.
Yep.
Yep.
And at first, it didn't look like it was fresh, or it didn't look like it was wet.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like it had been some staining, but I was like, could that have been from, I don't know, moisture of the deck mud making its way down or something? Because
Mm-hmm.
we got to float all our pans.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of we were kind of thinking that it was something to do with maybe the plumbing that was in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And because the last thing I wanted to do was rip out the shower. I was like, well, let's get the plumber over here.
Yeah.
And let's have him plug up, all the. He had a rain head, he had a shower head, he had 2 body sprayers, and he had a wand. So this shower was like a command center of plumbing.
So you're thinking it could have been any
It
one of
could
those
have been
fixtures.
One
yeah.
of that, something making its way down.
Mm-hmm.
Plumber came over, water tested all the lines, and everything was good.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, he called me back and he said, hey, the plumber just left. He said everything's good. And then at that point I knew, okay, well, we must have a problem with our waterproofing here. And scheduled a time, went over there and started chipping away at it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I discovered,
that
the
adhesive just came right off.
separated, yeah, completely.
All right. Yeah, let's play that video of because you recorded the process.
Mm-hmm.
That's a picture of it. So this is a picture of that.
This is actually after I called. Well, no, this is before I called Schluter.
Yeah. Okay. But you were careful to document everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, here's the video.
Yeah. So you can see it just kind of peels right up away from the aluminum drain body. And at that point, I didn't want to. Well, let's see. Yeah, I broke up the tile and then I tried to chip it away, just going kind of left to right.
Without damaging.
Without putting too much pressure,
Yeah.
vertically on that fleece.
Yeah, without trying to peel it up. Yeah, that's typically how I, like, if I'm doing like kind of a tile forensic investigation of why a shower failed, that's pretty much how I do it. Just go
And
gently.
you can see
it just comes right up. There's like no adhesion
Yeah.
there at all.
So the red, if I imagine the red is the
Adhesive. Yeah.
That was all on the fabric.
Yeah, I believe it's a hot melt adhesive. I'm not 100% sure it's proprietary. They don't share what that adhesive is, but I think it's a hot melt adhesive, and so yeah, that was just coming right up. And this is typical of everything I've seen with every failure that I've seen that people have reached out to me. So. Yeah, that's it. Obviously, that's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So after you took the video, you reached out to your local tile rep or local Schluter rep.
I called Schluter direct.
Okay.
I think I tried calling the rep, but maybe I got a message that he was out of the office until the next week or something like that.
Okay.
So I called Schluter directly and kind of explained what I discovered. And that's when they told me that a rep would contact me. And it was actually pretty quick. It was like within like 10 minutes, I had a call coming in. And it was from one of their technical reps.
Okay.
And he kind of already knew, what the issue was. You know, when I told him, I said, hey, I got a line drain here. We got a leak.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. He said, yeah, we've been coming across those lately.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I was kind of shocked, because I'm like, well, how come I haven't heard about this? You know, like.
Yeah. It's a tricky situation with products, failures, methods. You know, it's a sticky situation, right? Because your reputation depends on your work and the products you're using.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it took me a long time. You know, I made YouTube videos I started making YouTube videos in 2011, and it wasn't until 2017 where I showed a failure of my own using the product. That was the quick drain. Okay. And what happened, in that video went viral and basically made my channel what it is today, because everybody just was like, wow, this guy's showing his own failures. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of a risk, because, you know, that's my reputation. I'm a contractor installer first.
Right.
And so if my customers don't have faith in the products that I'm using, you know, what good am I? Mm-hmm. So people don't like to talk about it for the most part. Installers, right. You know, even you guys, I'm reading your comments right now. If you had a failure, you're probably not going to be putting it all over your Instagram or whatever, or telling, you know, putting it in a public place like this to where people know that you're using a product that can fail. So what I've found, when products fail, contractors keep it on the down low for the most part. Mm-hmm. And that's just kind of the way it is. So, you know, Schluter, you know, I don't think it would be in their best interest either to come out and say, hey, we've made line drains from 2014 to 2021 that have this manufacturing defect. Because, you know, for one, Schluter markets themselves as the primo brand, the Mercedes-Benz. They're German. They're above everybody else.
Yeah.
And to have a product failing really kind of shows that there's a weak link there, and they're not all that they say that they are. But that being said, at least they're taking care of the people, just like the one that I showed. Mm-hmm. You know, they're taking care of him in Utah. Down in Santa Barbara, they took care of him. Yeah.
On the one in Utah, they actually brought in their own crew.
Yeah, he said they hired, because he was a homeowner, and so I don't know if I don't know. John said he might tune in tonight. See if he's on here. I don't see him, but I believe he's a homeowner, and he either did it himself or he hired somebody to do it for him. Mm-hmm. And then when he submitted the claim to Schluter, they just said, we'll send somebody out to rebuild your shower, because he's a DIYer. I don't know if then he would have to find his own installer again.
Right.
So yeah, they agreed to, and I don't know if that repair is completed yet, because that was just a couple weeks ago that he sent me that email. But with you, so they actually just cut you a check for the repairs?
Yeah, once I got in contact with the rep, he gave me an address to their tech team or something that I've emailed pictures, basically an invoice with all the line items of everything I had to purchase or buy. Mm-hmm. I charged him a fair labor rate, you know. Mm-hmm. Again, I wanted to make something off of this repair, you know. Mm-hmm. I felt like if I really tried to stick it to him or something like that, like, yeah, you know, like I was being fair. I was being honest. I was being fair.
Yeah. So what did you end up charging for that?
I think $125 an hour was the labor rate I charged.
Yeah.
And
that's really good, because you're doing surgery. You're doing very meticulous work,
right?
You know, trying to save the tiles above it and everything.
And then again, the tile that was on the pan originally when we did it was like a 24 by 48.
Okay.
So it all sloped down to the center.
Mm-hmm.
And then the customer couldn't source that same tile again. Mm-hmm. I don't know. He said he got it from Floor & Decor or something like that, but he couldn't get it again. So he found something else online, and that tile was like almost $40 a square foot that he found online, as opposed to like the $4 stuff he originally put in there.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I don't know if they're gonna want to cover that.
Yeah.
You know. But I billed for it. It was like $900 just for tile for that pan, and you know they paid for all the material for that. You know, which is you know,
And then
it's pretty honorable.
Yeah, so that is honorable that Schluter did step up and they did cover the warranty. And what I've heard, even with mixing products, because I think you said at the time that you did yours, it was when they're having all the material shortages,
Right.
there wasn't Kerdi board around.
Right.
So I think you'd use Go board.
Yeah, we ended up using Go board on
the walls,
all the shower walls.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that was even in the pictures. From I built it back up what was there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I didn't go buy Kerdi board to patch in
Mm-hmm.
Foot up above.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't
an issue. Yeah, and so the other ones that I've heard of too.
I did
had
explain
some
that
mixed
to
products.
them, that hey, at the time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that makes a difference.
I don't know, because it's obviously
the drain is
where
what
the failure
failed, yeah.
where the failure is, and so they don't care if you're using their all set or their Kerdi board or whatever. It's like, yeah, we know where the failure is.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So,
and then
the repair. So the repair you went in with. You just went in with a square drain. You went in with flow effects.
Flow effects.
Yeah.
What's the tileable drain?
Tileable grate. Yeah. Did the customer want that, or did you just say, "Hey, let's not do this again"? Is that what?
I think he wanted the line drain,
Mm-hmm.
but then he also wanted like this almost like a pebble glass, type of stuff.
Okay.
And I was like, we can't do that with the Kerdi drain.
Yeah.
Obviously. And then I was going to put in another Kerdi drain.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want another Kerdi drain, to be honest
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
He's like,
He was like,
So I said-
I'm good on the Kerdi.
I said, hey, how about, we do a hidden drain?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to look better with this glass tile that you want.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So that brings up a good point, man, because now we're kind of left. And I think, I told you, this Kerdi line drain is the line drain that we've used for the last 7-8 years. The only one. We didn't use any other ones.
I've seen your videos.
So,
They're in a lot of them.
Yeah, so we probably do, I would say, at least 10 to 15 of these line drains with my company every year. So I literally woke up the other night thinking, 3 a.m., and I'm starting to think about all the jobs that I've done with these line drains. And I'm thinking about, okay, should I be proactive with this? Should I, go do an inspection? Should I tell my clients, hey, at least look out for this? Maybe, but what do you say? Go under your house or just look up at your ceiling every once in a while. Then they're going to be losing sleep, right?
Yeah. And if you tell them to look at their ceiling, they're going to find something.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just like,
whether it's your fault or not, like, hey, what's that there? What's that?
Yeah. So I honestly don't know what to do about the ones that have already been done. Those are done. I don't think I want to stress my clients out.
I think you got to deal with it on a case by case basis,
Yeah.
If it was truly a one-off issue,
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, where a guy was using the wrong solvent or something, well, hopefully it's not every single one of those line drains that you installed. Hopefully, you might have one or two, but hopefully none.
Yeah. So that's how I'm going to deal with it. And if it comes up, I'll go take care of it. And hopefully Schluter is nice to me and they, help us out on it.
Mm-hmm.
And, but going forward now, and everybody who watches my videos and you guys have seen, I'm never stuck on one product. If I find something that works better, I'm going to make that switch and I'm going to let my viewers know about it. That's just the way I've always done things. I'm not like always like a fanboy of the manufacturers, because in California, me and you, we grew up, we learned how to just do mud and hot mops. There was no brand.
That's what it was.
Right? There was no brand. We didn't care.
No.
It wasn't a big thing. Maybe thinsets, you find the thinsets that you like,
grouts,
but just because you like them. I mean, it's not like because it's a cool thing or, so that being said, like now I'm kind of stuck, like, where do we go from here? And in my experience, line drains just fail. It's like what they do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even when they're working correctly, I shared a video. I did. So we have 2 line drains in my master bath, our shower at home, and I shared how the tileable grates, they chip over time because you're taking them out and you got to clean them every couple of weeks. You got to get the hair catcher, clean everything. Every time you set a porcelain tile down on porcelain tile, what happens? You get a little chip. Yeah. And so they're chipped up on the edges. You got to clean the underside of them because they get kind of nasty. They get mold and stuff on them. So I was already kind of like, line drains, I see people think they're cool and everything.
Aesthetically,
look nice.
they're great, but
but functionality, it's like I don't think they're better, than a square drain. And so now that I see all these failures coming in, I'm just like, why are we doing line drains?
Right.
Why? Like, what is the point? They fail. They just do. Every single freaking brand. Nobody has figured out a way to make one of these line drains that don't fail.
Right.
So why are we doing them?
Right. I've looked at plenty of jobs where it's a finished shower. The tile setter's, he's long gone. But they have an issue, and it's with a line drain. It doesn't drain properly, or it doesn't sit in there, stable enough. Like it's wobbling, and it's not only Kerdi. It was, all different kinds of line drains. And then the fact of customers complaining about mold and cleaning it, and I've never pushed one on people. Like I've always kind of been honest about it. Like, these are the issues I've come across. And luckily I've only installed just a handful of those, the Kerdi ones.
Yeah, no, we've installed quite a few of them. So yeah, I'm kind of like, I'm going to just encourage people to do a square drain. I'm going to be like, no, linear drains have problems. I understand if you want one. In certain instances, they're great if you're trying to do a large tile on the floor. You get a single slope, but you can get creative. I like, I follow a lot of Swedish tile installers. They got a really strong tile trade there. They have to go to school for like 3 years just to be a tile setter. To be certified. So they, you never see line drains over there. They're always point drains. And a lot of times they're a bigger square. Sometimes they're a rectangle like this size. But what they do is they make it a design feature of the shower floor. They'll make like a border with mitered edges and everything sloping down. I mean, it looks beautiful.
Right.
And so to me, aesthetically, a tiled shower pan with a center square drain, to me, it looks better.
Right.
I like it. I like the design feature of it. So,
you're talking more like envelope cut, large format.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. That's all the shower pans where I've stood back and looked at it, was like, okay, that looks good. Was one of those.
So yeah, so maybe we can start reading some comments on what you guys think. These, what's the solution here? Like, where do we go from here? We have a background here in California where, and I hear the comments all the time. Why are you guys using these systems? Like, why? We have proven methods. We have hot mops. We have, and then hot mops are uniquely Californian, but then there's the other guys that are saying we've used pan liners for 50 years.
Right.
Before that, we were doing copper pans and lead pans. And why do we need to change to these newer products that have all these issues when we have a 100-year track record of doing old traditional systems? I had a conversation with Martin Brooks, he was the president of the NTCA, and he owns a company in San Francisco. He's an installer, and I was picking his brain about some stuff, and I was like, Martin, okay, because everybody asked me this question, right? What system should I use? I get that question a lot. What system would you use? And I usually say, a mud pan, flow effects drain, sheet membrane, maybe liquid on the walls or whatever. But I asked him, and he said we use pan liners. We use Competite, the Coralloy pan liners. I was like, really? You're the head of the NTCA. You guys are representing contractors, but you guys are getting funded by all the manufacturers. All your money's coming from Schluter, Laticrete, Mape, Customs. And so you're saying pan liner here's the head of the NTCA. You're using pan liners.
Right.
And he goes, yeah. He said, we don't have problems with them. This is the way we've always done it. And so to hear him say that, I was like, wow, maybe I need to rethink these bonded systems. Maybe we go back. But then you run up against issues. We do a lot of curbless. Like, how do you do a pan liner with curbless? You don't. You can't.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, you can't really,
unless like basically the whole bathroom would have to be a wet room that you folded everything up the walls,
Right.
then float the whole thing, and have a pre-slope going down. Maybe start that pre-slope like 12 inches outside the threshold, and then everything's going to roll back down. But how practical is that? You could kind of do it with a hot mop, but still then you have like the hot mop lips up onto the
You always
plywood.
have
Now you
that.
got a half inch, and everybody ends up cutting it off because
Right.
they're like, well, I got a half inch buildup of tar.
and it's there for a reason too. Yeah.
Yes.
It's waterproofing.
It's waterproof.
Yeah.
So, we're kind of in a
I never got
situation.
into the practice of using pan liners.
No,
You
yeah,
know, it's always been a hot mop, and then from there we started probably 10, 15 years ago, started learning about Kerdi,
yeah,
and it was like, okay, well, let's,
yeah,
start transitioning into that slowly.
yeah. So the pan liners are, pretty much from the, Nevada East. They
They love it, yeah.
do them up above California. Hot mop is just California.
Mhm.
Just California. And so I have all my, my guys that are doing hot mops. They're like, tile coach, why aren't you promoting hot mop? There's never problems with hot mops. We don't get leaks there. And I'm like,
Not
well,
initially.
no, yeah, but then there's nobody in the rest of the country that does a
Right.
hot mop. I could say, yeah, go. I think you should get a hot mop, and then 75% of the country is like, well, what's a hot mop? How do I get a hot mop? You
Yeah.
can't.
Well, I guess you can make a business, going around
Yeah,
the country,
maybe
start hot
maybe
mop
maybe
companies.
we'll start hot mopping.
But then you got to teach people how to float too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that don't float.
Yeah. 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 So the hot mop, well, there's people that do it without floating, but it's never done quite right. Same with pan liners. It's like pan liners without a float is really hard to do because then you got to fur out your framing to build out and have your walls flush because
Right.
the hot mop has build out. So you can fur everything out and make it work, but
It's
meant
it's
to
not
be
the
with
right
a
way to
float.
do it,
Yeah, it's meant to be with a wall float.
I've heard of guys, then setting backer board,
Yes. Mhm.
even to the hot mop, whether that sticks to tar,
Yeah.
highly doubt it. But
Yeah. No, that's not the way. It was that method was brought up. The hot mop was brought up in a time when people floated walls, and that was that we didn't have Duroc, we didn't
Mhm.
have Wonder Board to do it. So, yeah. So, someone said there's no hot mops in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is good to know.
There's no hot mops.
No hot mops. So that's why Martin Brooks was using pan liners because that's just
Okay.
what they did down there.
Okay.
My
More of a
thing is
Central Cal, SoCal thing. Then.
yeah, so hot mop is like, definitely Sacramento. They don't even do it. You don't even find it in Truckee. Reno doesn't do it. You go up north, Chico hot mops.
Yeah.
I don't know if Redding does, but if they do, that's as far north as it goes.
We did a house in Truckee some time ago, and
Mhm.
I had to hire a company
Some
from
from Sac.
Sacramento to
Yeah.
go up there and do
Yep.
the hot mops. But the company that was building the house was looking at me kind of cross-eyed.
Yeah.
Like, why do you want a hot mop?
Yeah,
I'm
well,
like,
yeah,
it's just what I do.
yeah. I think they say that the cold weather, the tar doesn't do good in the cold.
Yeah.
I mean, most houses are all conditioned now, anyways.
Right.
Nobody lets their house, get 10 below anymore, anyways.
Right.
And then, so yeah, then you got Sacramento, like over to Vacaville, but in the East Bay on, it's all pan liners, and then you go south. I think, gosh, do I see hot mops? I don't know if we see many hot mops like south of Stockton. Fresno is mostly pan liners. A little bit in Monterey is kind of a mix, but mostly pan liners, I would say.
Mhm.
And then you get down, I think it's not until you get past like Santa Barbara in North LA then it's hot mops again, all the way down to San Diego, and it's hardcore hot mops.
Yeah, they're coats.
Yeah,
and all that,
yeah, they're hardcore. They do mortar pre-slopes. They take a lot of pride in their hot mops. There's some great hot mop companies down there.
Right.
And so they're really strong down there. But then that's it. There's no one else that does the hot mop.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. So yeah, how many? Yeah, so we have 178 people live.
That's pretty good.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I got my exposure up too high. Now I fix it.
I don't want to hear about the Kerdi drain, man.
Yeah. So in my social media posts, I have random people chime in too and talk about, oh yeah, that's what happened on mine.
Mm-hmm.
So the purpose of this video was to just get the information out. If you're a homeowner, if you're a contractor, I put videos out there to help people. I'm not necessarily on the side of the manufacturers. I just don't really care that much. Not like I want to hurt anybody. And I've talked about this before, because sales reps are people too. They have a family. Yeah. They're providing an income. It's like I'm not out to just.
They're not out doing anything malicious.
Yeah.
By selling a product.
No, they're good people, and so you get stuck in these situations where, okay, am I going to put the information out there that's going to help a mass amount of people, or am I going to protect a manufacturer that really doesn't give a shit about me anyways, right? I mean, they kind of, if I'm buying their product, they do, but for the most part, they don't. So I always side with my viewers who are loyal to me and come to me to get this information. So it's not always easy to put this information out, but I think sharing this stuff is really going to help a lot of people who don't know what's going on with with these failures. So yeah, so if you do see, if you have one of these linear drains, I would say, go just contact. Did you call Schluter customer support?
I called them, directly.
Yeah.
And then
call the 800 number, and then I think they'll direct
patch you over,
to the local rep, so they can at least come and take a look at it.
And he was so busy, trying to get a hold of him was kind of an issue,
yeah.
And I was trying to be patient, I knew he even told me, he's like, look, I'm the only guy in the area,
mm-hmm.
and I'm going here, and I'm driving 2 hours there, and he's all over the place. So, I was mindful of that,
mm-hmm.
but trying to get more information out of him, hey, how long does this claim process take?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. It was never really clear.
Yeah.
It was kind of like you're kind of sitting in the dark, and I had my fingers crossed that hopefully this pans out and Schluter takes care of it, which they did.
Pans out, no pun.
Yeah, no pun intended on that one. But I've heard stories in the past where even Schluter reps have told me that a guy had a problem with it failing in the corner of a shower.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when he tapped his level down to get his his perimeter
Screed.
His screed
mm-hmm.
nice and level.
Mm-hmm.
When he cut the mud, he didn't cut away that 1 inch of, I guess it'd just be level mud that was underneath the
mm-hmm.
underneath the level, and they deemed that
really
that was
bad install,
and they didn't cover the warranty.
Yeah, so the thing is,
could be true.
Yeah, so the thing is with these companies is they're trying to mitigate their losses. So if they're going to pay out the claims to, first and foremost, the people that use their products the most. Individual homeowners, a one-off customer, so what if they never buy another Schluter product again, right? But for you, if
mm-hmm.
you felt burned by Schluter, you'd be like, I'm never using your products again.
Yeah.
But now they take care of you, so you're going to maybe use them again. And so, even the homeowners that reached out to me, they know, well, if Tile Coach, is the one who told you to call Schluter, we should probably take care of you.
Right.
So, I don't know. That's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
So how do you feel? Do you feel like you would do more Schluter? Do you feel like
I definitely am not
second guess?
I definitely would probably stay clear of the line drain.
Yeah.
Until maybe there's something public put
different-
out there or something saying, hey, you know,
We've addressed this situation.
this is what happened. It's been fixed. Here's our
Yeah.
product testing, you know.
Yeah.
And maybe that's another video for you
Yeah.
to like,
Yeah, to show how they fixed it.
or test the adhesion.
Yeah,
on
the
on
problem
line
the
drain.
problem with testing adhesives is that we don't know how they hold up over time. I mean, that's the hardest part about testing any adhesive. You know, I do a lot of testing with the MS polymer sealants, like the Weedy sealant, the Kerdi-fix, all those sealants, the RSS sealant. And yeah, I can tell how they work right now, but what happens in 10 years underwater? You know, what happens in extreme cold or heat and movement and stuff like that. So
you'd have to like start the test now and
wait,
check in
10 years.
every
Yeah,
5
guys,
years.
you guys stay. You know, I've done some. The longest test I've done was a 1-year test. I actually took the Kerdi bonding flange and put it underwater for a year.
Okay, I think I've seen that.
I thin-setted membrane with all set to it, and then I put it underwater for a year because I had problem with delamination with those things. The white fleece that's on their bonding flanges just peels right off. Yeah. And so I let that one sit a year, and I was able to prove it worked, but you know, it just sat in my shop for a while. I got one with Kerdi board right now, so I did a tear out a couple months ago down in Arroyo Grande, and the Kerdi board had just like peeled apart, and I don't know if you know, Kerdi board is made with paper. It's got actual paper, like literally paper underneath a really thin layer of waterproofing. And so when I did that tear out, everything just peeled apart. That paper just came off. So I got a test going right now. I just crumpled up some Kerdi board, put it in a bucket, and it's been soaking since February. So I said, yeah, I'll give it a year and then pull it out and see what happens.
You're going to see if it...
Yeah, see if it just...
peels right off.
And it will. I know it will. But yeah, some of these tests, I'm in a year, but a sealant, I don't think... The sealant to fail is... But yours...
This one took 7, 8 months. I don't know.
Gosh, so what do you think it was?
One guy using it a day. You know, he's a bachelor, so isn't getting a whole lot of use.
So what do you think the mechanism is that's making it fail? Because you installed it, and you know, you probably weren't real rough with it, like pulling on it or anything, but you were definitely, you know, folding it up, thin setting down, you know, troweling it out, you know, with your knife and everything, and it didn't come apart then. So yeah, I'm wondering what the mechanism is. It water? Is it adding water to it that makes it just, you know, come off like that?
One thing that's always kind of baffled me is that it, you know, and I'm sure their engineering behind it, whatever, but it comes with the foam gasket that it sits on. You know, that doesn't seem too solid to me. Like I'd almost would want to pack mud around that thing.
Yeah.
Get it set, let it dry. And then float it, you know. I don't know if that's compressing at all, you know, because people can stand right on that drain grate.
That foam. Yeah, so it could be, I mean, gosh, but mud doesn't compact, but maybe it's where the mud and the foam has a little bit of give and just enough movement there. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what that, if it's probably a combination of water and some sort of stress.
Because the way that was coming apart, like in the video, like I just took my finger and ran it along, you know, after I chipped the tile up, and it was coming right up.
I want to take a look at that again.
I think if it came from the factory that loose, you would have noticed that during install. You know?
Yeah, so if it was that loose.
It's something that happens over a period of time.
Yeah, because you just started, after you got these little tiles off, you were able to just run your finger right under it, and it just came right up. That's a trip, man. That's crazy.
And so their fix, what the tech told me was that he said what they've been having guys do is utilize the same aluminum drain body
Mm-hmm.
and then re-waterproof it with Kerdi,
Mm-hmm.
and then adhere the Kerdi to the bonding, or to the, I don't even know, it's not even a bonding flange, it's just an aluminum drain body. Adhere the Kerdi membrane to that using Kerdi-fix.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's
so, and like I was like, there's no way I'm doing that. You know.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, I would definitely.
You know,
say
it seems
no.
like a kind of a hokey poke way of.
Yeah.
You know, remedying this situation, and this is like a.
Yeah, because if Kerdi-fix worked, then they would just say that's how you just build them, because then you got Kerdi fabric, you could just build your own. Right. And make it custom size, and you wouldn't have to have the flap there. So yeah, it's and Kerdi-fix, in all my tests, Kerdi-fix doesn't hold back water anyways. it doesn't penetrate the fleece layer to get to the orange plastic that is the waterproofing. Okay. So it gets caught up. You notice how Kerdi-fix is like stiff. It's like it's really what they say has high viscosity. It's really stiff, so it's not fluid enough to penetrate through those fleece fibers.
It's not fine enough.
It's not. Yeah, it's not loose enough. So, yeah, if you were to make a box out of Kerdi board and just seal the joints with Kerdi-fix and fill it up with water, it would leak out.
Really?
Yeah. I've done a lot of tests on it. So.
I remember like years ago, like that was like the fix. Like.
Oh yeah, Kerdi-fix on anything.
Before they had like 45 corners or odd shape.
Yep.
You're like, oh, you could wrap it around best you can, Kerdi-fix it. Like,
yeah. I had a client with me, actually a contractor from the Boston area yesterday. I did one of my tile coaching sessions. If you guys are interested in doing a consultation with me, go to tilecoach.com. I have tile coaching for sale there. But we were doing a session. He's a general contractor. And he was asking me about methods, and he said he's really struggling finding good subcontractors. I was like, yeah, that's a huge problem.
That's everybody's problem.
That's everybody's problem, is finding a good tile subcontractor. And he goes, the way my current contractor does it, and he goes, I didn't want to step on his toes, because he said this is the way he's always been doing it. And you know that rub where you feel like you know the tile guy is supposed to be the expert. They know what they're doing. You don't need the general contractor telling you how to do it. But he said, I just had this feeling in my stomach that they were doing it wrong. And he said they were doing a Kerdi foam pan, Kerdi membrane on the walls, no band, no preformed corners, and they had a sausage gun of Kerdi-fix, and they were just doing a bead of Kerdi-fix at the floor and wall connection. He goes, should I be worried? And I go, yes, you should be worried. Yeah. Don't do that. And he goes, oh man, we have like 3 or 4 jobs we just did like that. And I was like, oh dude, yeah.
But for someone, that the homeowner or someone who isn't too up to speed with the waterproofing,
they would think that was normal.
And stuff, you're like, oh, it's waterproof.
Yeah,
like,
Kerdi-fix. Yeah, just put it on there. But yeah, those showers are gonna fail over time. And so yeah, I told him. I said, well, I'm glad you talked to me, because it's one thing, right? If you're I'm a general contractor. If I was ever dealing with a sub, I would never tell them to do something differently than what they're doing unless I knew for a fact and was confident in it. Like if I saw something and I saw a sub doing something that I knew was wrong, I'd be like, hey, I saw this and this is why that doesn't work. So on my jobs, this is the way we're going to do it.
Right.
But if I didn't know, and if I was unsure and didn't have that confidence, and the sub was like, oh, I've been doing this way for 20 years, you'd be like, oh, okay, I don't want to step on your toes. You do your job. You're the expert. So it was good that he talked to me so that he could get, that confidence, that assurance that what he thought was wrong really was wrong.
Just because you've been doing something for 20 years. You know what I mean? Like,
I've heard that so many times.
I recently hired he's kind of an old school guy. He's in his mid to late 50s, and he's came up in when they're mixing mud by the shovel, with a load of sand out in the driveway type of thing, and you know, he's said stuff to me. Well, you ever dot set? And I'm like, yeah, back before I kind of, you know,
Knew it was wrong.
Like when everyone was doing travertine, and there's a lot of dot setting going on.
Do the 5 dots.
Yeah. And, you know, you see all this, you know, people doing testing, kind of like what you're doing, and other people online. It's like, you kind of look back at yourself and be like, oh, okay, well, I thought I was doing it right. But, you know.
But I wasn't. Yeah. And a lot of people, I'm surprised, and I had this conversation with the contractor. I'm surprised at the hesitation for so many people in the trades to learn anything new. Like YouTube has pretty much everything you need to learn. Like it's if you look, you're gonna find it, and it's not that hard to find good information. And even if they spent, because any other industry, right? Like if you're a doctor, if you're, you know, whatever, if you're in any industry and you want to be at the top of your industry, you're going to be researching, finding out about new products, new technologies, staying up to date. But for some reason, contractors, they want to rely on what's, you know, the way they were taught, even though
the way it's
always been, when you can just watch a, you know, even, you know, I was thinking, even if you spent 20 minutes a month, like that's all it would take to
just a little research
Yep.
Yeah, just looking things up.
But yeah, there seems to be a real aversion for people to just keep doing it the way they've always done it. I'm going to read a couple comments here. Use Kerdi-fix to make my niches. I seen your video about testing theory. Actually waterproof.
Yeah, we use Kerdi-fix on niches a lot too. Again, I'm not too worried about a niche being submerged or anything. But
a niche I don't think would it be an issue.
But my issue was with him kind of telling me to use it around the drain. You know, I was like, you guys aren't even allowing people to cover their screws. You know, with Kerdi-fix anymore.
Oh yeah.
You know, you gotta cut out a patch and put that on. Like if it's not strong enough to be
used over a screw
6 feet off the ceiling or off the floor.
Yeah, don't be using it on the pan.
Yeah, I'm not gonna put that.
So Frank Nelson asked, when it comes to line drains, what do you guys recommend? I don't know, Frank.
Like, and are the other manufacturers, have they had any issues with?
Oh, I'm sure, but they're not as common as
they're not
Schluter.
widely used.
They're not widely used. You know,
that's true.
I don't know if I've ever seen anybody on social media use a laticrete line drain.
Yeah,
they're just a stainless steel. They just want you to mud up to it, put hydroban over it, and then call it good. No other reinforcement or anything.
Okay, yeah, they don't have the flap, huh?
No, they don't have the flap. And so, yeah, I've never seen anybody use one of those. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Again, line drains fail, so take it for what it's worth. You know, you can do an old traditional weep style with either a hot mop or a pan liner, and that gets a little funky because of the pre-slope. You know, if it's down in a corner, the pre-slope has to find a way to the drain. And so I think you can do it if your mud is built up, if you have enough room.
Right. To drop it.
Yeah. But, you know, I think you'd still have efflorescence problems and stuff.
Yeah. That's one thing with the membrane, sheet membrane showers. You don't get the mold buildup. At least on all the showers I've done, even at my own house, like, I don't see any cracking in the corners.
Yeah, I think
it just stays solid.
Yeah. I think the membrane surface applied waterproofing is the way to go. I mean, yeah, because weep style drains, most of them, the weep holes get clogged. I think it depends on the water, the amount of calcium in the water and stuff. But man, I've seen them where they're just milking, overflowing with that white efflorescence, and those weep holes are clogged, everything backs up, and then it goes over the curb. I've torn out a bunch of those.
How many showers have you torn out where there was no protection either?
That's true.
Every time we're tearing out a shower, there's no
hot
mop,
no gravel in the weep holes.
No gravel. There's no, they even have the plastic rings now. They're kind of newer.
No, I think when I did my Flex Seal video, just, for YouTube to get views, I made a Flex Seal video. And
didn't you do a shower?
Yeah, I built a whole shower with
right.
Flex Seal. And so I built it in a traditional style, just treated it just like it was a hot mop. And so I was extra careful to have plenty of gravel around the weep holes. I even used Schluter Troba, which is a drainage mat on the bottom.
Okay.
So that everything was getting down through those weep holes. And so I went back, we did their kitchen about a year later, and I looked at their shower pan. Perfect, man. The grout looked like it was grouted yesterday. No mold, no cracking, no discoloring. That whole pan was just like breathing. It was just like a floating pan. And so I know that I could build a really good traditional style pan, but it takes, taking care of those weep holes. The problem in our area is those cast iron drains that have a little,
baby
16th inch weep hole that's just the width of a 16 penny nail. And those suckers those are going to be clogged in a couple weeks.
If anything, I'd want to see weep holes going all the way around it.
Yeah, and big ones. Give us a freaking big weep hole like that. Yeah. So I don't know why we use those drains still. We're like the only ones in Northern California, Sacramento. We use those old Odie cast iron drains. SoCal is most of them are using the Ebby drains even for hot mops.
A lot of the generals that we do work for, when I started doing work for them, like that was what they use, It's like, and then I kind of started saying, hey, how about we try this, like it was a laticrete system or a Schluter system. I've changed throughout the years. I told you about that, but now that they've seen the systems and how they work, and we've been using them for years now, like they're like, I don't want a hot mop on my job. It's just,
and especially remodels.
Yeah.
Remodel upstairs, you're like, really? You're going to be carrying buckets of hot tar up
the house?
Yes. Like, man, I used to trip out when I'd watch those guys. I have a pretty good video. If you guys are wondering what a hot mop is, I got a good video where I was just alongside Bob Stanlin, hot mops.
Yeah.
And
I've seen that one, I think.
And man, but I've always wondered, whenever I'd be around a hot mop, I was like, how do these guys hot mop all day long? I mean, it's just that tar, the fumes coming off, and they're just going along, and it's hot. If you spill a little bit on you, dude, you're toast. You're gonna be,
your skin melts.
third-degree burns. Like, what is there's like, it just seems so archaic. And I know that a lot of people are passionate about it, and there's people that are really good at doing it, but I think there's just going to be less and less of them. I think within 15 years we probably won't even see hot mops anymore.
Yeah, and I'm not opposed to taking on a job where the customers call and say, hey, we got a hot mop. It's like, okay, well, I know what to do in that situation.
Yeah,
I can do everything in my power to protect those weep holes. And be honest with you, I love sitting over a floated shower. So
there's nothing else like it when you have a nice float. So let's see, what about marble on the pan? Seeing discoloration was Schluter style. Yeah, Matt asked about white marble. Have you had any white marble issues ever
on a pan?
Yeah. Where there's discoloring, where it's like the patches.
I've seen like a kind of like a wet spot, like a moisture spot. Not on
one of yours.
No, I try to steer people away from marble on the pans.
That's usually my answer. So that's my answer. Just stay away from white marble on shower pans.
And something about, I don't know, the customers that choose white marble are always just a little bit more. There's
picky.
There's a little more. There's another element there. Like you're like, okay, we got a white marble customer.
We got a white marble customer.
Like, cross your T's and dot your I's on everything.
Yeah, so don't be a white marble customer, people. Laticrete is hard to come by in my area. I do use Ardex 8+9 over Kerdi, though. I've had good results. Yeah. So, that's another thing is there's nothing wrong with doing double waterproofing. I know that Schluter always didn't want people doing it because they don't have a liquid waterproofing. Laticrete, who makes both sheet membrane and liquid, they're like, yeah, do it if you want to. It's not going to hurt anything.
Whatever way you want.
Yeah. So, I think that's a great method, especially if you're not well versed in the sheet membranes, because it does take skill. It's like it does take time to learn how to really get those membranes flat, no folds, no wrinkles. Even us who do it all the time, there's times where you're going, dang it, stay down, And so you imagine like a DIYer trying this stuff, could be kind of rough. So why not let it dry? Put 2 coats of Hydroban all over it. You're good to go.
Have you used the Hydroban Rapid Cure?
Yeah.
I used that on one shower one time.
It's a little weird.
It was a trip.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Even after it was like dry.
It's like squeaky.
Yeah, it's like rubber.
Yeah, it's different.
But
I'll have to do some testing.
That was a white marble shower.
Was it? Yeah, nice. They must have sold the house.
Yeah.
That's the people that've never had.
You're like, okay, how many of my jobs? I've only had one job fail. Well, like, okay, well, how many of those customers are in that house?
Yeah, that's Mr. No Callback. Let's hear it in the comment section for the Mr. No Callbacks. Never a callback. I want to hear from you. Yeah. I'll bet we don't. Nobody has the courage anymore to say, I've never had a callback. But they used to say it all the time. I hear in the comments all the time. Never had a callback. 25 years, never had a callback.
How many times have you changed your phone number?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've changed my company name 5 times in the last 25 years. There's always a
callback. I mean, it could be something
anything
minute or, something major like a Kerdi drain fail.
Cracked tile, every once in a while you get a cracked tile. Ceramic subway tile that cracks because there's stress.
I got a buddy that he's dealt with a lot of that in it's like a 3x6 subway from like
was it
Arizona
Arizona
or something?
Florida core?
Yeah. And it just cracking going all the way up.
Yeah, I had a failure video where I kind of blamed it on the float because that's one of the things that I never really understood with our one coats where we put the tar paper behind it, and instead of the old school way was you didn't use tar paper,
right?
You just mudded right
to the
wall.
board.
And never had any problems with it. But then they started stressing about waterproofing the walls and putting niches in and benches. So I understand why they did it, but it created that cleavage membrane, that separation. So especially if your float gets thin, you got that much float, chicken wire.
It's not too stable.
Yeah. And when I was talking with Martin Brooks with the problems with wall floats, he said a lot of the issues come from when you go from thick to thin. Like if you got a wall that's way out, or you got a bump in a wall and you got 3/8 of float right here, and up here you got 3/4. He said that creates, when the mud dries, it dries at a different rate because the thick is going to take longer, so it causes stresses, and that's where it'll crack. So, but anyways, yeah, I did a tear out. I think the video's like I floated this shower and it failed or something, and I talked about that. But I think the real culprit was just a thin bisque ceramic. It was a Roca tile, and they're just thin, really cheap ceramic. Spanish ceramic. Yeah. You could take a Subway and just go pop, break it right over your knee. That's gonna break under the slightest stresses.
I think the issue on the shower that he was having was it was over a foam board too, which is kind of weird.
That is weird.
What's really moving there?
There shouldn't be. Yeah.
Unless there's a lot of flex in the foam board, but I think even then it was like a more denser one, like Hydroban or something like that.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of that. What's the call? Yes. What's the best linear drain? Best linear drain is no linear drain. I'm going on record and saying it.
Hashtag that.
Yes. I'm going on record. I don't know. I almost like, if I use another Schluter Kerdi Line, I almost want to get like written in writing from Schluter, like if ever if it ever delaminates, if ever the membrane separates from the stainless steel, you're covered. And then I'd be like, okay, well, but even at that, dude, no matter how much any company's paying, because I've had, like I said, I've had grout. We've had grout warranty issues where I had a grout company that paid us $10,000 to completely redo a shower because the grout was failing. And I still would have rather not done that. Yeah. I still would have rather had that shower hold up, because it's just one of those things. Like, you've already dealt with the customer, you're done with the job, you shook hands, bye, thank you so much. They were happy. Like, and then it's like, okay, here we go, round 2. Now we're tearing your house up again.
We like to solve problems, just not problems that we, took part in creating.
Yeah. So even though companies will pay the warranty, it's not something that I want to ever have to deal with. Yeah. So here, okay, yeah, we got a lead pan comment. Right on.
Never seen one of those.
I've seen one lead pan. It was a job down in, I think it was in Carmichael. And it wasn't even that old. It was probably like early 80s.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh, what's this? Oh, this is one of those lead pans. It's metal and it's soft. And I go, oh, this is weird.
Oh, okay.
Didn't leak.
Okay.
But they set the walls on green board with mastic. It didn't hold up.
Yeah.
Pan was great. Walls were not. Yeah, Chip Miles, another lead pan. 50 years in the biz. Yes, lead pans are truly the best. They're the best probably for everybody who doesn't have to install them and get lead poisoning, right? It can't be good. Right? They used to use lead in the toilet flanges, right? To put the cast iron pipes together.
Yeah, they would melt the lead.
The okra, wasn't it the okra was like it's like I think they can use horsehair too, but okra is like almost like a hemp fiber. Okay. And they shove that down into the fitting so that the lead doesn't melt all the way down.
Right.
And then they would actually
like
melt
a
it.
Kettle or something, right?
They'd melt the lead and then they just pour it around the fitting. And I don't know much about lead toxicity, but I would assume that's probably not good for you to be breathing. Because I've cut them out before. I've cut them. And I was like, oh man, what's this smoke? I'm going, what's going on? And I go, ooh, yeah, that's lead.
You cut through like the joint there?
Yeah, yes, to put a new. And then I learned you can just break them. Like, you don't have to do that. If you hammer them, they'll usually break free. Like, if you hit them with a sledge, then it'll come right off. Yeah, he just said don't eat your lunch right after. So, yeah, so lead must be just, and that's what I've heard about lead too. If you ingest it, if it's in the water, or if you're a kid and you're eating paint chips or whatever, that's bad. But I don't know about breathing it or touching it.
Probably still not good to be breathing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Then they went to copper pans with lead solder. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that works. I hope we don't get to a point where we have so many of these failures that people just get fed up with tile. That people are just like, I don't want tile.
Yeah, that's not good for you and me.
No, it's not good for our whole industry. So,
what's your thoughts on the thin porcelain?
The thin porcelain? Yeah, I'm not a fan. I don't really like the look, honestly.
Not gonna go down that route?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to, but, sorry, he said it's called oakum, not okra. Somebody else said breathing it is bad. So, yeah, add that to the list of things that are going to kill me. So the large porcelain to me, it just looks fake. I don't know. I just don't really care for the look. And then you're usually doing it over a tile pan anyways, where most of the grout is. Because that's usually the complaint, right? People are like, I don't want any grout.
Right.
Like, okay, well, what kind of pan are you going to use?
Right.
If you're using a tile pan, it's going to have grout in it where most of the water is. I haven't seen a large porcelain panel job that I've really liked the look of.
Look custom.
I think I've seen a few in Europe that weren't like a marble. They were more like a solid body porcelain, like just like a concrete look. And I go, oh, that looks pretty sick. I like that look. It almost looked like a plaster or a concrete.
Okay.
But yeah, the white marble porcelain panels, I'm like, no. Just don't like.
I'm just wondering if it's going to be a fad or if it's something that people are going to start requesting more often, and I'm going to be, buying another $10,000 worth of tools to learn how to do it.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if the labor force is going to be able to keep up with, people can't sell products that can't get installed. So unless they get the labor force up to snuff, which they have a problem with tile labor.
Right.
Can't even get somebody that can install a 4x12 subway properly. How are you going to get them to install a 8-foot by 4-foot panel with full coverage without chipping it, transporting it, making every cut perfect?
I think it's more of a slab, installers.
My fabricator, they do it, and they charge a lot to do it. They float their walls. They get their walls floated so everything's flat, so they're not, trying to deal with buildups and everything. So, I think, it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. I also see a lot of issues. We talk about cracked tiles.
Yeah.
Everybody's cutting in niches. They ignore that you're not supposed to put niches in them. Every cut has to have a 1/4 inch radius on it. So I see these jobs and they're doing tight miters, full box outs on niches. I'm going, that thing's going to, it's going to run off.
Even on, is it 24x48?
Yep.
They say you should be doing that radius.
Yep. Yeah.
Which I don't know, how would you do that if you're trimming out with Schluter? You know what I mean? Like you'd have just a fat joint.
Yeah, I don't know.
On your miter.
I don't know. So I like the look of tile. Where it does come into question. So in England, they don't do tile shower pans. All of England, all of the UK, they don't do tile shower pans. They're all, and I don't know if it's required by code or they just don't do it. Solid, cast iron or fiberglass pans. They'll tile the walls, but everything is a preformed pan. So the problem with that is we have so many custom sized showers and bathrooms that, a 3x5 or a 4x4 or 3x3 doesn't always work. So that's, tile is good because it's customizable.
Right.
And I think it's just the look. People love the look. You look at a plastic pan versus a tile pan, and that's where the beauty is, right there. So let's see. Prova linear drain. Not familiar. I think Prova is more of a Canadian company. Am I right on that? Canadian. Have you ever heard of Prova? No. I think it's Canadian. I get people asking about it, but all right, let's see. Are people sick of hearing us yap yet? Damn, there's still 200 people in here. Man, this has been a great live stream. Before we go, I want to give away a hat or two. Let me see. All right, so I got some various FlowFX hats. Chase sent these out to me. I haven't had a chance to give them away. The next, I'm going to say the next 5 people who order a FlowFX flange from tilecoach.com are going to get a hat. And which one do you want, Marcus? Take your pick, man.
I think I have the gray one.
You have the gray one?
Yeah. Maybe the black one.
Dude, this black camo is pretty sick. Dude, check this. There's a mid crown and then a low profile. So one sits up higher.
I don't know. This one's black.
Yeah, that's probably the more regular one. Yeah, that's a sick hat, dude. All right, yeah, so the next 5 people who order FlowFX flange, you're welcome. Thank you, Chase. Chase sent them out. Do you have a blue one?
I don't.
I'll take a blue one too. I love the blue one.
Thank you, Chase.
Yeah. All right. So, anything else that we need to cover? I don't want to talk about grout right now. I just don't. Honestly, when you start putting, they're talking about the panels. Yeah, I think most of the consensus is people aren't crazy about it.
Yeah, I'm not too thrilled about them myself.
Yeah, and so this is my take on it. Similar to what Tim says here. Honestly, when you start to putting 4x8 panels in showers, they just start to look like prefab, and you might as well save yourself several $1,000s and grab one from Lowe's. Yeah, and that's usually, it looks fake. It looks like something in.
Well, it is.
Yeah. Yeah,
they're getting good with it, but
yeah, like I said, some of the concrete ones are pretty slick, maybe like a plaster look, but the rest of them to me look fake. And I have clients that come in and they want to get the how they have the welded seams on the Corian, and so they go, I want something with welded seams. There's no grout, seamless. I go, have you seen them? Have you actually seen them?
Yeah.
And they go, no. And I go, yeah, they look like plastic.
They look real cheap.
I was like, you might as well get one of those fiberglass enclosures. Save yourself $10,000 and go get one of those fiberglass enclosures.
It's not cheap to get a shower done.
No, that Corian's really expensive to do because they have to pretty much make everything,
right? All
the pieces, and then they actually melt them together on site. They put them together and sand it down, and so yeah, it's a process, but. Slabs are king. Yeah, I mean some of it does look good, especially natural stone. But you ever use Ardex, like X77?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good stuff, huh? Yeah, somebody was just asking about Ardex. Yeah, Ardex makes good thinsets.
I've been kind of holding true with X5 just because it's pretty versatile. You know, like. I loved it on backsplashes, or I could use it on showers. Yeah,
Ardex X5 is a good thin set. It's what, maybe $25 a bag or something. Yeah. So decent price point, and what's unique about Ardex and their lightweight thin sets is they water travels through them really really well, which isn't good for installing membranes, but it's really good for a tile that's on a membrane because it dissipates the water and it evaporates really quickly. Right. So you don't end up with, puddles and stuff, moisture buildup under them. So Ardex, here in Sacramento, is that what you guys used before, like with Schluter, like in the early days of Schluter when they didn't have their thin sets?
Thinset. What were we using? They used to have...
Was it Bostic?
Bostic Dietrich set or
Hydrament.
Yeah, Dietrich set, like
unmodified.
Had to use that.
Yeah. So what happened?
Never like that. It's too gritty. You know,
unmodified thin sets.
You put two bands of waterproofing together and it's just like
peel them right off each other. They the Ardex, back around 2010 when I first started doing Schluter, Ardex said they would honor, and Schluter's warranty back then was only 5 years, I believe. Schluter had a 5-year warranty at the start. And then Ardex came out and they said, well, if you use X5 with Schluter, because it's a chemical cure,
10 years
right?
Or something.
Yeah, they gave you 10 years. So I was like, oh, shoot, man. Yeah, let's use X5. It was the only modified thin set that I'd heard of that a company was backing up to use with Schluter products.
Right.
So I was like, yeah. So we bought it by the pallet. Yeah. But then I did a test with it. It's funny because we did a barbecue probably about 3 or 4 years ago. I did a workshop barbecue, and I was big into Schluter. Like I was a Schluter guy. And so
you were a fanboy?
I was a fanboy. Yes. I hate to admit it, but I was. And I had my reps come out. We did a barbecue. There's probably 20 other setters that came.
Cool.
Actually, I met Zach, who works for me, was at that barbecue. It was really cool. And so they comped me all the materials. So I was building a mock-up of using Dietrich heat and a linear drain. And we were showing how to do that. And I was making a YouTube video on it. It was pretty cool. And so we did it. DeSoto Sales, they're Schluter district. Have you been to DeSoto?
They're down I've heard of them on Roseville Road.
Yeah, on Roseville Road.
I haven't stopped by. No.
Yeah, so they're a good company, but I was buying a lot of Schluter through them. So they gave me all the stuff I needed. They gave me the Dietrich heat. They gave me the line drain. But they didn't have any Schluter thin set. And this was right when Schluter came out with their all set and their Schluter set. So they go, oh, here, just use X5. So they gave me like 3 bags of X5. I was like, okay, cool. So Schluter's there and we're filming and we're doing the demo. We mud it and we're getting the so it comes to mixing thinset, and we start mixing X5, and my Schluter rep was like, Isaac, what are you doing here? he goes, can you, it's fine, just don't show it on the video, please. I was like, I thought that was cool. He goes, yeah, now that we have our own thinset, we don't want to be showing other people. I was like, okay, whatever. Oh, yeah. But anyways, we used it, and then I filled that I ended up filling it up with water to test it to prove how good Schluter worked, right? I filled it up, and it was over Christmas, so I let it sit for like a week, and when I got back, everything had leaked out.
Oh, no.
I was like, what's going on, man? And it was tiled and everything. I put tile on it. And there was open grout joints on the side because that's how I was going to test it. And so I let it sit, and then I came back and it all leaked. I was like, what's going on? And that was the first time that I found out that Schluter leaked. And I put that video up like a couple years later because I didn't want to show it at the time. I just wasn't ready to do it. But I did upload that video. And so that started my testing. And what I found was that the X5 caused it to leak faster because it's like a sponge. So if it's left to soak underwater, that X5, it really lets the water travel through. It's very porous. And so using the highly modified thinsets like All Set or Multimax Light or Platinum or whatever, they're almost waterproof. I mean, they're not fully waterproof, but water won't go through them. If you made a bowl out of Schluter All Set and filled it up, that water's not going to go through it. But so what I'm saying is like that X5 is really good, but on top it's really good because it dissipates it. It draws all the water into it and it lets it evaporate through the grout joints. Where with All Set, with All Set on top, it's so like impenetrable that water will just sit, and then that's when the problems start to happen.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now I'm thinking about showers.
X5 showers. Well, it's under warranty, right? Call your you got to call your Ardex rep, right? Say, hey, tile coach said it was warranted. All right.
I ran to the Ardex reps over at Tom Duffy the other day, and they were showing me their new waterproofing system that they have, and I don't think it's that new, but I've never really seen it. I've seen their boards. I've used the sheet membrane, but they had
SK175 or whatever they call it.
Yeah. And they had their drain, and their drain, I guess it could tilt. So if the plumbing coming up out of the ground isn't plumb, you can adjust that with the drain. So I thought that was kind of a cool feature. But
that is that I'll have to check it out.
I'm still hooked on the
flow effects. Yeah, we love them, man. It's all my guys want to use now. Daniel, I've used pan liner all the time. Old school is tested, so why are you trying something is not tested? It's very expensive. No brain at all. Ooh, Daniel, he's coming with the attack, man.
He's a pan liner.
He's a pan liner guy. He's team pan liner.
If it's worked for you for that long, man, why? I mean,
that's a good question. Yep.
You know?
Yeah, and if you never have to do curbless, if you don't have to do heated floors, and you're on a budget, that's probably the way to go. See, my clientele is a little different. They have money. They're willing to spend it on products, and I'm not trying to, make a budget on all my jobs. It's just different. There's a lot of people doing work that have to meet a budget, and I understand that. I mean, that's a totally different market. Every dollar you spend counts, especially if they're doing like real estate flips and stuff. It's all about the money to them.
Yeah, it's that bottom dollar.
Yep. So yeah, I get it. You don't have to be mean though. You said I don't have a brain. I don't take it personally. Trust me, Daniel. I don't know you, so you can say whatever you want about me. They do tile shower pans a lot in the UK. I haven't seen them. I follow a lot of tile setters on Instagram. I don't see tile shower pans in England. All right, you guys are awesome. 207 people still hanging around to watch us.
Pretty good.
That's awesome. Imagine if we were sitting in a room and we had 200 people watching us talk about tile.
I'd probably be a little more nervous.
Yeah.
But
you did great, man.
Well, thank you.
Well, yeah, I'm glad I got to meet you finally.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's hang out and talk tile
Yeah.
more often.
Let's do it.
Yeah. What are your hobbies?
Well, we got the kids, and their sports and football.
How old are your kids?
The two boys, they're going to be 15 and 10 in June. So
Okay, 15. So sophomore, freshman?
freshman,
Del Oro?
Del Oro.
Okay.
First year ever playing football, and he wants to go out and play for Del Oro. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, man, get ready. You
Yeah.
know? But I'm getting him into golf.
Does he like it?
He likes golf. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're having fun with that. And
See, golf is my thing, and if there was any one sport that I would encourage my son to do, it would be golf.
yeah.
And my older daughter played golf. My oldest daughter played golf. My son just doesn't like it. He's on the JV golf team, and he's kind of doing it to appease me.
He
But I can
doesn't
tell
like
he
it?
doesn't like it.
Really?
Yeah. And he's a decent player. He can hit the ball. He just doesn't like it. I think, and I understand it's a frustrating game. If you're not playing good and if you don't have the drive to practice a lot, it can be very humiliating.
Yeah.
game.
You gotta almost be addicted to it to
Yeah.
keep going out there.
Yep.
And just trying every.
So you golf?
Yeah.
Nice. Where do you play usually? Just around?
Just around here.
Lincoln
There's so
Hills.
many courses.
What's a little 9-hole course?
We're over in. We like to play Wood Creek. Down
Okay.
in Oaks,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm like 2 minutes from Indian Creek, so
Yeah.
we'll go over there and
Yeah, that's
hit
a cool
balls.
little course.
Yeah.
Have you played Sierra View?
One time,
Okay.
my buddy's wedding, he got married there like 12 years ago, and that was
You
a
got to play?
beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful place.
I'll have you out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds fun.
Cool. Uh-oh.
You have to give me some
I got a
pointers,
golf-
though.
Okay, so my best friend Ron, who's also a tile contractor, I've done videos with him. That's how we met. We met on the driving range, and I saw his tile truck, and he goes, "Wait, I think I've seen your videos or something." And he goes, "You Isaac?" And immediately, so we got tile in common, and we got golf in common.
Mhm.
So we're off and running, man.
Cool.
It's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
So right on.
Trying to get back into it,
Yeah, it's tough, man, to find time to do it. I'm finally at a place in my career that I can spend a little more time.
Step away.
And my
play.
kids, my youngest is 14. He's a freshman. His older sister is a senior, so she's going to be in college next year. And then my oldest two daughters are in college.
Oh, wow.
So we're kind of on
You're on the tail end.
more on the
Yeah.
tail end of it. So yeah, I can get out a little bit more and play. But yeah, awesome, right on.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man.
It's been great.
Yeah, I think let's hang out. Let's keep in touch, and I really appreciate you kind of putting yourself out there like this to help other people out. That's really huge. And I just want to thank everybody who stayed with us. And again, if you want a FlowFX hat, the next 5 orders at tilecoach.com for FlowFX bonding flanges, I'm going to include a hat in there. So yeah, thanks again. Thank you for being here. I love you. I love being your tile coach, and we'll see you on the next video.